Happy holidays. Welcome to the Thanksgiving edition of X and Omar. Dave Hyde demanded that this be a Thanksgiving edition. I know Dave's a Thanksgiving guy. Dave, you know my long-standing theory on turkey, that it is by far the most overrated meat that there possibly is, and nobody eats turkey any other time other than Thanksgiving. You say
you don't ever have a nice club sandwich or a turkey sandwich?
I mean, it's a good sliced meat. It's not a dinner item.
It should be, though. It's a mystery why turkey isn't. And then you get, let's admit that the side dishes are the best. The cranberries. Are you a cranberry person? No. Mashed potatoes?
I'm not a cranberry person. I'm not a stuffing person. I'm not a turkey person. I'm really not a Thanksgiving person.
You ought to just skip right over this holiday, Omar. You're like the Scrooge of Thanksgiving.
I rather have some jerk pork or some nochebuena, lechon. Yes, I am more of a Christmas person, but the gifts keep on giving for Dolphin fans as the wins keep coming in. The Miami Dolphins kept this up, winning, and it's kind of making us reevaluate our stance on everyone should be fired, Dave. While it's unlikely the Dolphins can turn this season into playoffs, that's right, it's not out of the realm of possibilities, let's say, if they continue to win and have a good homestand here, the team will have a chance to produce what it would be the fourth straight victory hosting the Carolina Panthers here on Sunday. But the Dolphins' 24-17 win over the New York Jets, which is Miami's third straight, provided that opportunity, Dave. The offense finally scored 24 points. The run game produced 100 rushing yards, more than 100 rushing yards. The offensive line didn't allow a sack, Dave. Can the Dolphins get this type of performance from their offense every Sunday, the rest of the way?
Well, let's see this week, Omar. Let's see if we're coming back with bouquets and great adjectives next week, because last week they played the Jets, the worst defense in the league, by points and by yards. They scored 24 points. The Jets are giving up 33 points a game entering that game. Okay, so
don't be greedy, Dave.
I'm trying to put things in context so we don't go way up and way down every week. To me, that was the Dolphins' offense, what we've seen, and they made some nice plays and they beat the Jets. Now they're playing against the second-ranked defense in the league in Carolina. Okay, Carolina is, well, it's first pass defense, second overall, sixth scoring defense, third sacks. So let's see if third with 30, right? The Dolphins have 23. So I mean, when you talk about, oh, everything's great because they won 3 in a row. Now they beat Baltimore. That was a shocking win. That was a great win. Let's see how the offense does this week before we, start talking playoffs and everybody's safe.
I think while the offense did well, I agree with you. It's probably because they were playing an inferior defense. And you're right. If they do this against Carolina, and if we see the efficiency from the offense, if we see the running game, and Carolina is giving it up in the run game, Carolina is giving it up in the red zone, if Tua can get them into the red zone and score touchdowns and get to 24 points, I think they do have a good chance to win. The question is, can the run game be reliable? Because I think this offense is a completely different offense when they have some semblance of a run game. Let's get to our first question, which comes from Olive Grove John. Winning is never bad, but do you think that the Fins win enough to save Brian Flores' job?
Yeah, I'm not going to do this week to week. This week, thumbs up, thumbs down, and then next week after a win, it's, oh, no, everybody's safe.
The people of X's and Omar will demand you do this week to week, Dave.
Let's get to the end of the season before we talk, who's up, who's down, who stays, who you want. Now, you can say a lot of these draft picks haven't panned out the way they wanted, and so you got to really look at that. You can look at that now, okay? They were 1-7. Okay, and now they hit a soft part of the schedule, as every team does, and they should take advantage of it. Let's see how they do before we talk about everybody's safe or everybody's out.
I don't disagree with you, but I think that we can identify that there are fundamental issues that, with or without Brian Flores, needs to get fixed. Offensive line, complete rebuild. Wide receiver unit, complete rebuild. Running back unit, complete rebuild. Play callers on offense, new offensive line coach. We have to get to the point where, if we think about Brian Flores, whether he's here or not, we know Brian Flores isn't a very patient man, nor is he a tolerant man. He's quick to fire people. Everybody on offense is
well, I mean, if okay, let's put this in context. Yes, the whole offense is going to be reading. There's one player who you can say, yep, he's definitely going to be back, and that's Jalen Waddle. Right, in the same role,
Robert Hunt, maybe.
Okay, maybe, yeah, okay. I mean, now we're getting into the big picture of the offensive line.
But I get your point. Mike Gesicki,
that's a contract issue.
No,
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm saying in the same role for sure. I mean, you could see Robert Hunt move into right tackle. He was pretty good at right tackle last year, right? Yep. I mean, so everything is in question on the offense right now.
No question about it, and they have to fix it. And Flores has to be able to hire a better staff. And that, to me, is, if you can't say to me, hey, this is what I'm planning on doing in the offseason, and deliver that, I don't know how much hope I have coming into the next season.
Jason Garrett's available, Omar. Interested? All right, let's move right along. Okay, Barry wants to know, why is Flores unable to find and or work with strong offensive coordinators and establish good to great O-line coaches?
Well, let's begin by saying that Flores has had good coaches. Chan Gailey was a very good coach. The offense that he delivered was the best offense that the Dolphins have had since 1984, and then he got shown the door. Patrick Graham was, by name and what he's done in with the Giants, is a good defensive coordinator. He decided that he wanted to leave Brian Flores and leave the organization and go back to a Giants organization that he has more ties to, a community that he had more ties to. I think that Flores, I don't think it's a hiring issue. I think it's a retaining issue. And I think that Flores is evolving. This is something that I have paid attention to. I have watched. He's evolving as a human this season, and he's softening a little, and he understands the bigger picture about how everybody plays into his legacy, his survival, his perception. And I think that could possibly impact maybe how he interacts with people, how he treats people. This season, the 1-7 start probably provided a couple of warning shots to Flores. Hey, I'm not as hot as everybody thinks I am, as maybe I think I am. And maybe that was a humbling experience that will help him be a better leader, communicator, coach down the line.
Yeah, I'm not interested in 1-7 learning experiences in the NFL. Okay, I mean, how many of those have we had? Okay,
we've had plenty. The question is, do you get an opportunity to show what you've learned?
And maybe so. Maybe all this evolution of Brian Flores is happening. I'm not sure. I know if he comes back, the offensive staff won't be coming back. I mean, there will be wholesale changes, so there won't be a lot of patience that we've gone into. But that's the question. I think he's a very talented coach. I love his toughness. I love a lot of things he brings to the table. But it's a mystery to me. Every year they're changing coordinators, and I get there. Any staff has changes, but after 1 year, both coordinators change. After 2, another coordinator change. We're on the 4th line coach. We've gone through this before, and that's something that to have longevity, to have a sense of sustainability of your
you need some
your tenure, and you need a staff that stays with you. And so, that's one of the questions.
You wrote a glowing and flowering column about Bill Belichick and the greatness of Bill Belichick and how it's made them back the dynasty that they are. Wow.
They're back, Omar. Even I saw in the offseason, I said they're gone. They won't be contending again because he's going to go through what everybody did, looking for a quarterback. And
the teams just have not caught up to Mac Jones yet. It's coming. Wait for it. Be patient. Wait for it.
What week 15? When's this going to happen? I'm not. Well, that's the thing. Mac Jones isn't lighting it up. He's Tom Brady in year 1 or year 2. Where they're managing him and they're winning in a lot of other ways.
But my point is, part of the Belichick success is continuity on his coaching staff. It is the quality of the staff that he puts together. It's the fact that guys like Brian Flores developed for 11 years in the same program. Hell, McDaniels won't ever leave the program despite being offered a head coach every year. So, to his credit, Belichick puts together a quality staff. I think the biggest issue that young coaches have, and how I've always evaluated Dolphins coaches since Tony Sperano, when I learned this, is what kind of staff can you put together?
I mean, that's the first question in any interview. Let's see your staff, and the coach slides the paper across the table or reads out.
That's really a slide the paper across the table.
That's the first thing in a hiring you're going to want to know, right? Okay, who's coming with you? What do you got?
No question about it. I'm curious to see, what changes get made to the staff, and there are changes every year. The first year, I believe he lost 9 assistants. So there are going to be changes every year. The question is, will they get better or will they get worse?
Well, let's also. It's not Brian Flores who's going to make all the changes. I would guess coming up. I think some of the coaches are going to decide they're going to make their own changes.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay. That's true. That's a good point.
The way things went down at the start of the year with who's calling the plays and who's publicly said to be calling the plays, and yet it really was Charlie Fry calling the play. I mean, that didn't go over well. It couldn't have gone over well inside that staff. I mean, there's no way that could have gone over well. So we'll see what happens.
But you're right. Brian Flores is going to be a coach, no matter how they finish the season on the hot seat, and coaches who have expiring contracts are going to want safer, more stability. So you making an excellent point. Finn's Head 83 wants to know, I don't believe in this year. The hole was dug too deep. That being said, who, if anyone on the offensive line, would you go into the season comfortable with as a starter in 2022? Or do we need all 5 new spots upgrade?
Oh, God. I love that. I don't believe in this year. I mean, look, you start 1-7. I don't disagree with you. All the pressure's off. A different type of pressure is on you, but the pressure of success, of winning and contending is off you. And so I understand what you're saying. And it's so, it's like baseball in September for a lot of teams. What does it mean? They say that's the most dangerous month to rate players because the pressure's off them. So that said, you're looking for development. You got to find some development among these young players, especially on offense. Okay, like I said, Jalen Waddle's there. Robert Hunt, he looks like a player. The question is, what's his position on your team? And when you say, here's our 5 best linemen next year, what's his position? Because does he need to play right tackle? Is he guard? I can't believe Liam Eichenberg is this bad. I just can't. It's unfathomable to me. I mean, they traded up. They spent a 3rd-round pick to trade up for him. Everything you heard of Notre Dame. First of all, NFL teams love Notre Dame, Wisconsin offensive linemen. They play and they're taught NFL techniques, okay? And so for him to come in and, look this bad, it doesn't, something's not adding up here. So you're going to need another set of eyes, probably offensive eyes, coaches to say, what do we got here?
Yeah, without a doubt. If I'm Brian Flores, I go and add the best offensive line coach that I could possibly find. And yes, what's salvageable? I think Robert Hunt's salvageable. I think Austin Jackson as a guard is salvageable. I even think Liam Eichenberg is salvageable. I mean, the talent is there. I don't know all that he's endured or gone through or experienced. Maybe he's a better right tackle. To me, if I'm rebuilding this line, and you know how much I love to rebuild lines, Dave.
You've had a lot of practice, Omar, talking about
it. Yes. I warned you and the world before we even ended last season. It was not good enough. It was not going to be good enough. It is not good enough. It's going to get the quarterback hurt. It's going to ruin your season. And lo and behold, I hated the fact that I was right.
You did say that, and I said, no, it will be fine. It will develop. I assumed it would develop. I'm mystified by that.
The quarterback does make it all better, and we'll discuss that in the next segment. But to me, the only three salvageable pieces are Hunt, Jackson, Eichenberg, Jesse Davis as a backup. He'll probably have to take a pay cut to make that happen. I think Jesse's knee issue is a major factor in his performance. He should have had that knee cleaned up and scoped right outside the end of OTAs. He's too valuable a player to have him playing on one leg all season. But to me, to rebuild this team, I go out there and I get the best left tackle I could possibly find, whether it's draft or free agency. I know that's an expensive position. And I added a center because this season has fallen apart when the center play has been bad. And to the point where now an offensive coordinator is basically blaming the run game issues on the fact that they've had 3 starting centers. And
I don't want to hear that. I do not want to hear that.
Dave does not want any excuses on
when you look at what other teams are doing with injuries and offensive line.
Are they playing their third center? Are they playing their third center, Dave Hyde? Let's just put that right there. Are they playing their third starting center, a guy they claimed off another team's practice squad?
You know, Ted Karras is now the starting guard. He's been for a while in New England. The Dolphins starting center last year, and they didn't want him back for $3-4 million a year. Okay, but my point is this: if he was here, we'd be saying, "Oh, Ted Karras, look what he's doing. He's just not good enough." He goes to New England. He's their starting guard, and everything's hunky-dory in New England. Okay, I mean, so yes, you can always point to the weak link and say, "Oh, that's awful. We can't win that way." But that's what we've been doing here for 20 years.
When you have a whole line of weak links, it's the weakest one makes it look bad. Yeah, and that's the Dolphins' offensive line.
All right, let's move on. Tua's back. He's not healthy completely, but he's managing to win games for the Dolphins. Last Sunday's win against the Jets was counted as his fourth quarter win of his career. Gets him back to 8-7 as a starter, and that puts an elite company, Omar writes, with Kyler Murray and Mac Jones as the only quarterbacks in the last 3 draft classes who have a winning record. While wins aren't all on the quarterbacks, they also indicate which quarterbacks elevate the play of his team. Isn't that what Tua has been doing lately, Omar?
Yeah. Think about the losses. Jacksonville, Atlanta. Didn't he put his team in position to win the game? Think about how the offensive line has played with Tua. They are a train wreck when he does not play. They are a complete disaster when he does not play. They're okay when he does play. It's very evident that the pocket presence that he has makes them a respectable unit. I believe somebody showed me a stat yesterday where it's analytics. You know how I feel about analytics. It's QBR. It's pocket presence. It's offensive line rating mumbo jumbo, which I'd have to know exactly what goes into it to kind of analyze it and break it down. But it's from ESPN, and they have Tua rated as the best pocket presence quarterback of all time, which is like mind-blowing to me. I don't even know if this is from like quarterbacks. I would look it up, but it's on my phone, and we're shooting this from my phone. But it was, I couldn't even like process it. I know he's good. He's not Dan Marino good. I know he's good. Now, if you see that, and now we're seeing the bigger plays, the 65-yarder. It was a 50-yarder last week. It was a 40-yarder the week before. So now we're seeing that, okay, even though he's hurt, the arm is not good, but it's good enough. And you can win with it. And I have said this from the very beginning, 2 years of X's and Omar campaigning for him. It's the it factor in Tua that you just can't ignore. It's there. It raises the level of Mac Joneses of the world and Isaiah Fords of the world. And I'm not saying that he can lead you to a championship, but he's a pretty damn good NFL starting quarterback that gives you a chance to win every Sunday.
He was the player of the game last week on the field, because the only way the Dolphins were going to lose really is if he makes mistakes. He played a nice game, and all of a sudden the Twitter world is a Twitter about the word efficient when you use it with Tua. Oh my God, don't use that word. It's like
he's a game. He's a game manager too. He scores on 10 to on 8, 9, 10, 12 play drives. Who does that but game managers?
I mean, his help is suspect. Okay,
that's putting it politely.
I mean, the 65-yard that was a Jets rookie cornerback given a 20-yard opening for a pass. Okay, that's and same with the Albert Wilson pass the week before. Those are breakdowns, complete breakdowns in the defense that allow big plays. Okay,
so got to identify it though, Dave.
Omar, when a guy's running 20 yards open downfield,
Jacoby couldn't find it.
I don't know about that, but my point is, look, the question isn't Tua. Yes, Tua can be a 10 to 20 quarterback in the league. I don't think anybody has said any that is not. The question is, can he be a top 10? Can he be a top 6? That's the question, and the Dolphin leaders have given their answer. Okay.
We won't find out the real answer until 2023.
We know. Look, no. When an owner asks permission to talk to another quarterback, that's all the answer you need of what they're thinking. Okay, they have pulled the rug out in many ways from under.
Did you see the clip of George Godsey and the coaches at the end of his 65 yards?
Well, that was a. Can you believe the guy blew coverage like that? I mean, you look at that replay.
Okay.
And, I mean, Mac Hollins is 20 yards downfield, and the cornerback's still at the line. I mean, it's a rookie. And again, the Jets were the 32nd ranked pass defense for a reason. Okay, let's come back after this week. This is going to be a much more difficult week for the line. The line looked serviceable last week. The receivers looked serviceable. It's going to be a much more difficult week for everybody on the offense. Okay, and that includes Tua. I mean, so to me, it was the Jets last week more than the Dolphins. Now the Ravens, we in our head we have the Ravens as great defense. They were 31st against the pass in the league. Okay, so and now we're swinging the other way. The pendulum goes completely the other way to a very good defense. I'd like to see them against an average defense. Can we get back to that and measure it that way?
Guido Caper wants to know, if Tua maintains this level of play, do we still go after Watson as an organization, Dave? And I would say it's not just Watson. I got my heart on Aaron Rodgers. So it's do the Dolphins continue to go shopping for a quarterback?
Short answer, yes. I mean, they've gone down this road. I'm interested in Russell Wilson. If Seattle keeps collapsing, he comes on the market as early 30s. I mean, come on. So, yeah, but if the Dolphins, now we're talking Flores and Greer, okay, thought Tua was the long-term top-notch answer out there, they wouldn't have gone after Deshaun Watson. They wouldn't have said, okay, I mean, come on, 22 sexual assault counts. And they still say, yep, we want him. We want that guy. Okay. And that, to me, that tells you they're thinking on Tua. And you can agree or disagree with it and say they're right or wrong, but that tells you they're thinking on it.
And to find out that they're willing to pay prime 112 prices for it too, which just was like,
yeah, I'm not sure that's going to happen. The Houston's going to get squeezed this offseason. And they got a $35-40 million contract of Watson about to hit their salary. They aren't going to let that happen. So we'll see what the price is. Okay, Cameron Sparks has a good one, Omar. Have we seen the last of Will Fuller as a Dolphin already? What's your guy feeling? Have we seen him? First of all, have we seen him, much less seen the last of him?
We've seen him for one game and one quarter. We have. We've seen him for one game and one quarter. I have counted. I've seen him actual with my own eyes 6 times since the spring. So listen. Last I checked, a broken finger takes 6 weeks to heal. He's been on IR for longer than 6 weeks. I'm not necessarily certain that he's coming back, wants to play. Maybe he plays at the end of the month. I mean, at the end of December to sort of give teams like a look-see about where I am. I don't see him watching practice. I don't see him on the sidelines during the games like I see other injured players. I don't see Will Fuller.
It's a $10 million mystery to me in that, like you said, if guys are out, you still see them around the team unless they're out for good. You know, I mean, if we're talking a broken finger, typically they're coming back at some point. And so, you know, coaches don't want badly injured players around the team. I mean, I guess the bad karma, the bad reinforcement, and all that stuff.
I've heard that, Dave.
You know, yeah, you have.
No, I know. I never heard that. This is the first time I've ever heard that.
That they don't want them around the team?
Yeah. I didn't know it was that bad karma, bad, you know.
Well, they aren't around the team is all I know. So
well, Raekwon Davis was around the team.
Okay, but that was I'm talking season-ending injuries. Okay.
Yeah, but he's not supposed to be a season-ending injury.
That's what I'm saying. But he's not around the team, so it's a mystery to me. It's a mystery.
I don't know what to tell you right now. I'm counting up the weeks. He's been on IR for 8 weeks. Like, what is he coming back after the bye? Like, what's going on?
There has to be something else going on there that we don't know about. Okay, Pandemonium asks the most important question of the show, Omar. Who would be a good example of what Tua can become? A healthy Alex Smith, Chad Pennington, what should be our expectations?
Well, coming into the draft, I always said he is a combination of Drew Brees and Russell Wilson. I don't think he's Russell Wilson because he definitely doesn't have the durability of Russell Wilson. The accuracy on the passes of Drew Brees, but I really, after seeing him, I think he's a back 9 Chad Pennington in terms of accuracy, anticipation, no arm, so he can't throw every pass, but he can beat you inside the numbers like nobody else's business. And when he becomes that leader that the team looks to, when he becomes that rallying point of a guy who's mastered the offense and has dissected defenses, and then he is able to walk up to the line and dissect what the defense is doing, I think he's Chad Pennington. I really do believe that. Alex Smith doesn't fit because Alex Smith has a cannon. Alex Smith has a good arm. Russell Wilson doesn't fit because Russell has that athleticism. I don't view Tua as an athletic quarterback. I think he's a quarterback where, hey, he could scramble for 10 yards, but he's not Herbert. He's not even Tannehill. So To me, it's Chad Pennington.
Well, Chad Pennington, that's a good comparison to the upside from the standpoint that everybody loved Chad Pennington. I mean, all his teammates, us covering the team, we were very fascinated by Chad Pennington. And so maybe he grew, but at the same time, you knew Chad Pennington, he had a short shelf life. He was constantly going to be hurt,
I don't think has Tua proven to you that he's not going to have a short shelf life?
Oh no, that's why I'm saying it's a good comparison to him.
I mean, we're at 2 injuries this season. Like, that's not good.
Yeah. Now, they aren't recurring injuries. Okay, that's the weird thing. That the hip, bad luck, bad hit. The finger, that happens, and so it's not like it's not like it's his ankles or his his ribs. I said his hip, but I meant his ribs in the Buffalo game. It's not like his hip is causing problems elsewhere in his body. These are just bad, quote, luck injuries. People say he's fragile. I don't know. The injury history is a major concern, but it's weird that the injuries he's getting.
You can't ignore it. And in fact, coming into the draft, I remember talking to one of my executive friends, and he's like, "Yeah, he's not on our board. We couldn't."
Yeah, absolutely. People took him off the board because of his injuries, right?
And it wasn't the hip; it was just the durability. Like, he can't hold up in the NFL. And I was stubbornly adamant that, hey, build him an offensive line and he can hold up. And yes, this offensive line hasn't been good, but there's been a lot of injuries, and I have a problem. I'm not naive to the point where I don't think I'm pretty sure he's going to get injured again at some point this season. It's just the nature of the position.
Yeah. Okay. You start this segment. I got a small emergency I got to handle, and I'll be right back.
All right. No problem. The Carolina Panthers made some desperate moves this offseason, in terms of not this offseason, but this month. First, they traded this offseason. First, they traded for Sam Darnold, which I thought was just a ridiculously dumb move. They banished Teddy Bridgewater, who's going on to be the starter for the Denver Broncos. Then, when things didn't pan out, they compensated for the struggles and wanted to add to this defense by adding Cam Newton, an athletic quarterback, bringing back the best quarterback in franchise history. It was a desperate move, but one that might work out for this team if Cam Newton could lead this defense-led team to victories. Here's my question heading into this Sunday's home game for the Miami Dolphins, which have a pretty long, extensive home streak here. How concerning should the Dolphins be about the Panthers team headed to South Florida, Dave?
Yeah, they should be. This is the Panthers are a team that I don't know if they're getting healthier. Christian McCaffrey's back. Okay, he's not only back, he's fresh. He's played 6 games this year. Okay, and he's caught passes. He ran for 5.9 yards last week. Got 7 passes.
He's averaging 67.8 rushing yards a game, 57.2 receiving yards per game. He touches the ball 21 times this season.
Is Cam Newton who he was last week? I don't know. We don't know that. He's obviously, but he had a good game last week, and their defense is good. This is a very good Carolina defense against. I mean, the Jets game aside, a bad Dolphin offense. Okay.
Yeah. 21 of 27 for 189 yards and 2 passing touchdowns last week. He also ran for 46 yards on 10 carries. The last time Miami faced Cam Newton, we all know he led them to a 21-11 victory over the Dolphins. He led the Patriots to a 21-11 victory over the Dolphins. Completed 15 of 19 passes for 155 yards. He ran for 75 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Cam Newton is a dual threat. That's arguably one of the best dual threats in NFL history. The legs are still good. He's still the size of a tight end.
He doesn't scare you. He doesn't scare you though, like he did. Remember he shouldn't. He shouldn't scare you.
Yeah, I think I'm still.
I mean, he's not 2015 Cam Newton.
Yeah. He's not the MVP of the league, but I think those types of quarterbacks are still very dangerous. I think Cam Newton's accuracy and the fact that, his arm is a little weaker than it was early in his career, those are things that, should not make you terrified. But keep in mind, he has run for 72 rushing touchdowns in his career. Like, that's a ridiculous amount of touchdowns just from a rushing standpoint. So with their defense, Christian McCaffrey, Cam Newton running the ball, throwing completions, there should be an above 500 team.
Would you rather face Sam Darnold?
Absolutely.
Or
No
Cam
question.
Newton? Absolutely. Sam Darnold's going to make 2 passes a game that will potentially lose the game for his team, and he did for Carolina's 5-6. It's not the year they expected.
It's a second year.
They were seen as this surprise team by a lot of people. Oh, they're going to have a good year. They're going to have a good year. Well, they have.
Come on, Sam Darnold was their quarterback.
Matt Rule was expected to fix that on some level. Okay, and
I thought he was being.
It was the Jets. He was with the Jets, Omar. That was the idea. But
of course, Sam Darnold
it's Sam Darnold,
quarterback. And I thought it was a mistake that they got rid of Teddy Bridgewater and went with Sam Darnold. And lo and behold, here we are, Cam Newton. But I love the fact that Cam could potentially end his career where it started. And how often do you get to go home? Like,
not only that, how often do you get to go home for $10 million? He got signing there. That's a lot of money for half a year. That's pretty good businessmen's by Cam. Okay, TC, we got into that. Is Cam going to run all over them on Sunday? Is the question. We sort of addressed that. You think he's going to run all over them, Omar?
Yeah, and I think that if they don't use the three inside linebacker package, which featured Duke Riley in there, I think Duke Riley's the key to the game. And here's the why. I don't trust Jerome Baker covering the Christian McCaffreys of the world anymore. And on top of that, maybe Eric Rowe can help you, but it's just Brandon Jones is a blitzer. He's hurt now. I just don't feel good about the coverage of McCaffrey. And then who's going to spy Cam Newton? Who is it going to be? Jerome? It's definitely not going to be Landon Roberts. So this defense is going to be very tricky for Miami. Probably worse than the Ravens, because they've got 2 guys coming out of that backfield that are threats, and the Ravens didn't have that.
Yeah, this is where I not go with 3 linebackers. You have a surplus of safeties out there, but play some of them up and have them go against Christian McCaffrey. That would be a better matchup than sticking a linebacker on them. I'm curious to see how the Dolphins
I will say this. There have been, over the course of 3 years of watching Brian Flores, and I'll throw Josh Boyer in there as well as a defensive coordinator, I get excited about seeing their defensive game plan strategy. It is probably one of the highlights of my Sunday, just to go in there and see what their thought process is. Now, and I've talked to Josh Boyer about this. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes, at the beginning, when they had those 3 linebackers on the field against Baltimore, the Ravens were gashing them on the edges. They were just killing them on the edges. And then all of a sudden, they kind of locked it down, and the Ravens went away from it, and the Ravens started to pass horizontally, and it just wasn't working. And so I love seeing the intellectual chess battle that the Dolphins defense annually has against the opposition. And I really get excited to see the strategy, the thought process. And I'm dying to see what the thought process will be about handling McCaffrey and Newton out the backfield. Because if it was just Newton, easier. If it was just McCaffrey, easier. McCaffrey and Newton.
Well, I want to see. I want to see Cam Newton beat me. I don't want Christian McCaffrey to beat me. Christian McCaffrey can beat you in a lot of ways, and I'm not. Maybe Cam still can. I guess I need to see more of him doing it before I trust
you
that.
Need more than 72 rushing touchdowns, Dave?
Well, again, who is he now? I get who he was. I get
Ran
who he
for
was.
touchdowns
He was
in
the
the first
MVP
game without even knowing the playbook.
All right. TC wants to know, why are the Dolphins able to be successful on their opening drives but so disjointed afterwards? How do they overcome this?
It's very clear and evident, and I wrote a column, which was a hard column to write because I'm basically saying it was a column about how they're practicing better, which it sounds so simple, but NFL coaches, they don't vary their routine, they don't change up their approach, but Brian Flores did, and he changed his approach. And he changed his strategy, and he changed his practice habits, and he changes the days. The fact that they practice Wednesday, walk through Thursday, practice Friday, walk through Saturday, I've never seen that done. I've been here 14 years. And it's really about going through and making sure they after they had that Buffalo game where we all know what happened in Buffalo, guys were not lining up properly and didn't know where they're supposed to be and all that kind of stuff. They really put in, they really honed down on being assignment driven, gotten back to the takes no talent, don't screw it up for us. And since they've been playing that way, now, of course, it's been inferior kind of competition, except for the Ravens. We say that we're like, oh, who did they play? They played the Ravens. But they're playing a different brand of ball, defensively and offensively. They are, they used to say during the 1-7 games, they're like, we're close, we're close, we're close, we're getting better, we're close. And we'd be like, oh, what are you talking about? And lo and behold, they were right.
Oh, come on. How 8 games it took, okay? That's half the year. So I get there, but you should improve through the year. Okay, that's the mark of any team, really, much less a good team, unless you're a really bad team. You can't start off 1-7, okay? But look, to me, it's simple. Why are they successful on opening drives? Those are the plays they practice. Those are the plays they script.
Bingo!
Those are the plays they know what's coming, and they've seen something from the opposing defense to attack. Just as opposing offenses see something of the Dolphins. Here's what we want to attack in the opening series. And so that's not it. When it gets into play calling and adjustments and you don't have much margin of error in your talent, okay? And so that's when it gets really difficult for the Dolphin offense. But I don't think it's unique to the Dolphins that that their success right out of the gates is good for. I mean, you look across the league, and I don't have a stat on this. I'd be curious about this for all the analytics. First drive stats compared to how successful are those compared to the rest of the game. But I would think it'd be higher.
But it gets to my point. They practice those scripts.
Yeah.
And
although I do have to say, when I read your column and when you reminded me when you're talking, they changed practice days. I hearken back to Joe Philbin when he came in. He goes, "We're gonna have Monday off days. Next year, Tuesday is going to be my off day." His third year, we're back to Monday, and then I think he moved back to day. It was like, and I said, if coaches don't know what days they want to practice and how to practice, that's a fundamental lesson. Something's wrong. Okay. Now maybe there's a reason for it here. I mean, there were some results, I guess, but
he had a fad. Philbin, there was a fad where I believe it was giving guys Wednesday. I forget what it was. It wasn't Tuesday off because Tuesday's a normal day. It's like Wednesday or Thursday off, and it was a weird thing. But
it was weird. It was 4 years of weird.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
All right, Luke Fader with his almost weekly question, right? When you say he's like a regular on you,
He's been the most consistent guy. I even think that, and I hate to say it because it's going to challenge him. I think he's fallen off on his questions.
Okay,
Luke used to
here's
give me like I used to be able to pick from. I used to have to like pick hard from the three that he said. Luke, Lucas. Now if he's got one good one, I'm excited. So Luke, that's a challenge to you.
You got it called out. You called out a questioner. Okay,
he's my favorite question guy.
After seeing the defense with and without Raekwon Davis, who came back from a knee injury last month, how high a priority would you put on adding another defensive tackle or nose tackle to the roster next offseason?
I think it's pretty high. What?
Look, you look at the roster. How can defensive tackle be a priority?
Number one priority to me on the defense is, can you stop the run? And obviously, can you get after the quarterback? I will say this. They were a disaster without Raekwon Davis. And the additions that they made have not helped at all. And it's very disappointing to see their backups when Raekwon isn't in there. And I'm not a big, Christian Wilkins can carry the freight by himself kind of guy. So I'm definitely adding another 300-pound defensive tackle who can help you contain the run, set the edge. Emmanuel Ogbah's looking for that $15 million paycheck, baby. Whether you want to pay it or not, he's cashing in. And you're not going to use a franchise tag on him because you're probably going to have to use it on Mike Gesicki. So, you're going to have to add another defensive lineman, unfortunately.
The question was, how high of a priority is it? It's not a priority to me. It's not. Look, you got Raekwon Davis.
You got needs all over.
Wait. You Christian Wilkins, Zach Seiler. I mean, there's you want to talk about an underused commodity to me? He's always making plays. When I see fourth and one, third and short, he's making plays. So
I read somewhere that he's Pro Football Focus. Not that I view them or cite them as credible, but he's like he's like a highly rated, maybe the number one rated defensive tackle versus the run. And
see, to me, so when you say
that's all he does,
that'd be fine. That's fine. He does it very well. He does it well.
Yes, he does.
So my question wouldn't be, are you going to add another? Well, probably, because you have to add people everywhere. But priority. It's not a high priority for me.
It's top five for me. It's top five for me. I need a defensive lineman who can play the run and the pass. Top for me. Top five. I know I need a tackle. I know I need a center. I know I need a wide receiver. I know I need a running back. And then right after that, I'm putting give me a defensive tackle. Give me a defensive lineman. No question.
Did you talk about the receivers?
Yes, I said give me
plural.
Hey,
all right.
Plural. Yeah, plural. Yes.
Okay. Scumbag Brian has our final question. Do you think the defense has been the main reason for this turnaround the last few games?
Absolutely. What else is reliable or consistent on this team? And then when they let us down, everybody wants to stone them to death. Like, okay, Xavier Howard got beat on a perfect pass by an elite tight end and a 14-year veteran at quarterback. It happens. Like
the Atlanta game you're talking about.
Yeah. It happens. Like, but Emmanuel Ogbah, I still think that he's not playing as well as he could play. And he's playing quite well, but he's probably left about a dozen sacks on the table. Would love to see him finish and close, so he can finish the season strong. Byron Jones, Javon Holland, those two are blossoming before our eyes. And the whole defense is being structured around him. We just got to that. Byron Jones, everybody's going, he got roasted by Elijah Moore. Okay, he did get roasted by Elijah Moore. It happens. But he's been pretty reliable and consistent all season, and we know X gets you the ball. Like, that's what he does. He gets you the ball. He's got, what, 4 turnovers so far this season? So I think the guy who I think has more room for improvement to help this defense kind of turn up the volume, there are 2. I'll give you 2. Jerome Baker, who, despite him leading the team in tackles and being a very versatile player, I don't think he's played nearly as well as I expect him to. And Jalen Phillips, who I think right now with Brendan Scarlett going on IR, he's going to play. Now there's no excuse. Now there's no other guy who can do the other roles. Jalen Phillips going to have to show you he can put on his big boy pants and be a big boy defensive end or outside linebacker. And I think he's got it in him. I really do. I believe in his talent.
Yeah. And
now he's got to not make stupid decisions like pushing a guy out of bounds. That
the Jalen Phillips, we're talking player development here. And one thing in talking to somebody who said his hand work they're must not be working enough with his hands. So I mean, it's just interesting to see when you talk about the complexities of a pass rusher in the NFL. As a rookie, it's hard to get them all down. Okay, so but certainly by the second half of this first year, you want to see some development. But the defense is back to where it was last year as being something that can win games. I mean, it's won the last 3 games, 4 turnovers against Houston, holding Lamar Jackson at bay, and effectively, making Joe Flacco look like Joe Flacco and the Jets offense look like the Jets offense. Okay, so they're back to they're back to where they're going to win a lot of Sundays for you.
Keep in mind they got all their pieces. All the players are healthy on that unit. Well, relatively healthy. Christian Wilkins is battling this and that, and the cornerbacks were battling growing issues. But right now, everybody except for Byron Jones is healthy. But now Eric Rowe probably has to step up and contribute a little bit more. That's one guy who's been kind of a disappointing season, but it happens in the NFL. All right, Dave, it's prediction time. I will go first. I am going to do an uncomfortable prediction for a Dolphins win. 21-17. I'm not comfortable about it because anytime I start to believe in this team, they start to let me down again. But I do believe that Tua is going to be able to carry this offense to the level of average. And I think that's just where they need to be, average.
Yeah, I'm with you on this week. I predicting 21-17, low scoring by NFL standards game because these are 2 good defenses, and really whoever gets to 20 points first, I think, wins this game. So and I'm Dolphins at home have some confidence of the last few weeks, and they're talking and they're acting in a way that you probably should after a few wins, and that was when you have 3-4 straight losses in a row, stretch it to 7, you start to question yourselves in a lot of ways.
They never did, oddly enough, and here they are.
Oh, they're human. They're human. They question them. So you lose 7 in a row. You can talk about unity and resilience and all that, but internally, there's some questions. Okay, and they fought through them, and they've righted the season as they should.
Yeah, as long as you're not playing the Buffalo Bills, I think this team can contend and compete with anybody. Would not surprise me if they got to not just 4, but 5 and 6 straight wins. So we'll see. We'll see where the season finishes, Dave. Thank you for listening and watching to X's and Omar. You can find us anywhere you find your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, your mama's house. Enjoy your mama's house, by the way. Thanksgiving is here. Dave, are you a mac and cheese guy for Thanksgiving?
No, I'm not. I saw a poll I heard on the radio this morning. 52% of people. I like mac and cheese. It's just never been growing up, and it wasn't, and now it's not. But I would not be against mac and cheese on the table, Omar. I'm an inclusive eater. I'm an inclusive eater. Bring all the food.
I'm not a mac and cheese guy. I would not eat it. I don't eat it at all because I'm not a
Hey,
big
now, I know you're a big Costco guy. Try the mac and cheese at Costco. They got I'm not against that. I'm not against
I don't eat mac and cheese at all. So so yeah. But if you say the Costco's mac and cheese, hey, there's nothing wrong with anything Costco's offers. Their quality of food is what brings me in, and $400 later, I realize they got me. That's their gimmick there.
Well, and if you have a family of 10, it's good to go shopping for some because the quantities are like, well, I didn't really need 4 pounds of butter, but I guess I'm set for the next year.
All right. Well, thank you for watching X's and Omar. We will be back next Wednesday at noon.